Hey, welcome everyone. It's Marcy here from PNS and Nina. I am very excited to have with us today Judy Lawrence, the Queen of Apostilles or Apostilles or Apostles. However you say it, she is the queen of those things. And
Oh,
I know she's laughing because everyone says it differently and they're probably all okay. We know what you're talking about. And the notary coach, Bill Soroka. Bill, thank you so much for joining us today. We're
Totally my
super
pleasure.
excited. Yes. All right. I'm not going to say anything more than I know you guys know these two fabulous individuals. They need no introduction from me. So I'm going to turn it over to them just so that we're all on the same page. Chat away in the chat. We love all sorts of commentary. Throw your questions in the Q&A and there will be time at the end and I will make sure that we get answers for you. So Judy and Bill, it's all of
All
you.
right. Thank you so much, Marcy, for throwing this special event for notaries in honor of our Notary Public Day. My name is Bill Soroka, and welcome to Apostille TV. I'm going to tell you a little more about myself here in a few minutes, but I want you to say hi to, of course, my co-host, Judy Lawrence,
Bill,
who
can I
many
just
of
say
you
one
do
thing?
know.
Bill, can I just
Yes,
say
of
one thing?
course. Yeah.
Okay. Um, this is so great because we're able to share a lot of what we know, and notaries can not only learn the apostille business, but make more money from doing this. So I am so thrilled that we were able to be here today, and share with this amazing audience. And now I'll throw it back to you.
Awesome. Thank you. So, for those of you who maybe do not know Judy and I, we have been collaborating for several years now. And it all started with a podcast on my Sign and Thrive podcast about aposties. And then that turned into all kinds of collaborations with courses and our latest book, which is called Your Passport to Aposties 116 Tips to Build a Thriving Business as an Apostille Agent. We just love to share information that's going to help you succeed. You know, this business has changed both of our lives, and we just love sharing that. So thank you, Marcy, for sharing this event, and thank you for being here and sharing your Friday with us. Today's show really is all about you and how to grow a lucrative line of service and revenue in your notary business when you're acting as what we call an apostille agent, which basically means you're just assisting the public with international document authentication. And I know that's a mouthful right now, but I promise by the end of today's workshop, you'll have a much better foundational understanding of what that means, how it all works, and how you can earn revenue helping people. And then, of course, we're going to have some fun doing this, as Judy and I like to do a lot of. We're going to blend some elements of classic television into the conversation because just like TV changed the way we communicate, entertain, broadcast information around the globe, your apostille business can have a global reach too, one that's genuinely a business without borders.
Okay, so to start out, how many people on this call are already commissioned notaries? Why don't you put a one in the chat if you are already a commissioned notary? So look how many people. So we have a lot of people here today who are
Yeah.
already notaries. I now want to know what this apostille thing is about. Um, so I have a question. I have a serious question. The first person to answer gets applause. Where must your little notary feet be planted in order to conduct a notarization?
Yeah,
I
Michelle
saw
got
my
it.
state.
Yep.
I saw my state. So whoever did that, my state, yay.
You did
Okay.
it. And that's exactly right. Because in most instances, in fact, nearly all of them, your feet must be planted in the state of your commission in order to notarize anything and therefore generate revenue. And we've made do with this supremely inconvenient rule for decades. But becoming an apostille agent removes that geographical burden. You can be an apostille agent in any state while your feet are planted in any other state or any other country for that matter. In fact, your feet don't have to be planted at all. You can be mid-flight between adventures. You can be sipping Mai Tais on the beach, or of course, as demonstrated on the screen, you too can be on a 3-hour tour because you can facilitate apostilles from anywhere. And that's what we're going to share with you today on Apostille TV. So here's what you can expect over the next 30 to 40 minutes, right? We want to make sure we leave room for Q&A. We're going to tell you what an apostille actually is. We're going to tell you why we use them, and then a little bit of history about how they came about. And then we'll talk about why people in the modern age need them and use them every single day. And we'll talk about how many of these things get issued every single year, because that is going to blow your mind. And then we're going to walk you through the process of actually obtaining an apostille and show you how you can be this beacon of light in the process and then actually earn revenue helping the public navigate the apostille or international document process. And then we're going to share some resources for those of you that want to go further in your learning. And of course, in celebration of Notary Public Day and what Marcy has created here, we've just created a ridiculous deal for anybody who wants to jump in on that. And we'll talk about that. And then Marcy has graciously given us some time for Q&A so we can answer all your questions. And if that sounds good to you, I'm going to invite Judy to come on up. And Judy, maybe do a real introduction of yourself so people know where you came from.
Okay, well, I always like to say I was not always the queen of apostilles. If I was going to write my life story, being here is probably, I would call it improbable. I was a paralegal, a secretary, a paralegal, and I expected to be doing that forever. Then it ended, and after a period of time, I decided to use my notary skills not to be an author, not to be an entrepreneur, not to be a teacher. I needed to make money. The rest is a dream. You know, I founded Center City Notary, and again, not to be this entrepreneur, not to be a businesswoman, an author. I needed to make money to support myself, like you all do, to take care of myself. But I also loved, or I fell in love with apostilles shortly after. And I admit it's a fascinating business, takes a lot of, it's a lot of fun to learn, but there was the opportunity to make serious money. And then after that, I decided I just learned this and I want to share and teach it to everybody who wants to learn it. I want to make it accessible to everyone. And I have to say that I never get tired of the emails from people who thank me for changing their lives and for helping them to grow. And with that in mind, I decided about a year ago to collaborate with Bill because I wanted my course to be, and watch him how he laughs when I say this, sexier. I wanted it to have more bells and whistles. I wanted to be more digital. And Bill and I absolutely, we accomplished it. And the course is amazing. And it will help you all to grow and it will help you all to make more money.
Awesome. And that is true. Thank you very much, Judy. I appreciate that. Guys, my name is Bill Soroka. I'm the founder of notarycoach.com. I'm the author of 7 best-selling books that help further my mission to help notaries serve more customers, make more money, cultivate more joy in their lives, and then build a thriving business that doesn't rely completely on the mortgage interest rates or the housing economy, right? There is life beyond loan signings. And the key to success, no matter what business you're in, you've probably heard this everywhere before, right? The key to success is to diversify your revenue streams. And today's show is going to show you how to do just that. And throughout my, gosh, I know it's 27, 28 years in business now, I've learned the hard way to listen to those who have the results I want. The rest is just noise. And that's why it's such a pleasure to share the stage with Judy. Because if you want to know, if you want to learn how to build an empire with international document authentication, with apostilles, you got to watch her. She's doing it down in the trenches with you. This is her business, her primary business at her facility in Philadelphia. So grab a pen and paper, take some notes, take some pictures of any of these slides that make a difference for you, because this may very well be the first day of the future of your own new empire. So Judy, as Marcy kind of teased in the very beginning, why don't you kick us off and tell us how to pronounce this word?
Well, apostille is a French word meaning certification, but there are many ways to pronounce it. A common one I hear from lots of notaries is apostille.
Or apostille.
And then there's my personal favorite, apostille. Love apostille.
And my favorite is, of course, apostille, the way I say it, mainly because it rhymes with unrestricted fees. And that's the name of the podcast that we did with Judy. And it also happens to be a really interesting and unique benefit about this line of service that you can offer. And I'll take a quick side note here. Make a note of this because this is really important. You're not restricted by state legislated fees like you are as a notary public. This is different, and we're going to tell you more about this. I'm going to circle back this in a few minutes, but I want to alleviate that right away. So Judy, what are the two most common ways?
I think the two common ways would be apostille and apostille, but I have to say, doesn't matter what you call it, either one will get the job done. That's where it's at. So let's get into what an apostille actually is.
Hold up. Can I just say one thing, Judy?
Yes, you can, Bill.
Before you get into that, I want to do the quick history lesson. So I'm just going to talk about this real quick. And I hope that we have some Golden Girls fans on today's call. If you are, show some love in the chat. I hope I'm not alone in this. Best show ever. But picture it, guys. The Hague, Netherlands, 1961. A group of people organized the Hague Conference, otherwise known as the Apostille Convention, to help really streamline the process of international document authentication, because this usual embassy legalization process back then was cumbersome and it was time consuming. Yes, awesome. We got lots of Golden Girls love happening. I love it. So that whole process was just really jamming things up. So they whip up this Apostille Treaty, and it has some rules and a new certificate requirement. And then they present it to these different countries with this offer to join or sign up. And if they do sign the treaty, after a certain period of time, they become what we call a Hague country, right? Really creative. And then their documents can be processed as apostille or with apostilles. And what that does is it makes things faster, cheaper, and more efficient. But if they have not yet signed the treaty, then we call them non-Hague countries, right? Very creative. And then those documents for those countries are still processed the old way, which is sometimes called embassy legalization, which we're not going to focus on too much today because we're here to talk mainly about apostilles that do get performed through Hague countries. But what I want you to take away from this conversation today, first, or second, or third, or fourth, is countries are still joining and signing up for the Hague Convention to this day. In fact, Canada recently joined, China right before them. So these are major countries, major players in global economics, and they're still just now joining this treaty. And as Judy continues to share a little more about exactly what an apostille is, I want you to think of it like this. So just like you might need a passport to visit and move around a foreign country legally, many documents need special certification too. So think of an apostille almost like a passport for important documents that are going to be used in a foreign country. And if you want to take a picture of that definition, I guarantee you that's going to help you in your future describing this to prospects and clients too. Now, let's listen to Judy get into even more detail for you on what exactly an apostille is.
Okay, well, keeping it brief, and most of you know I'm not real good at that. An apostille is a special certification offered by what is called the competent authority, which we'll talk about in a minute, that authenticates the seals and signatures of officials on public documents. Now, this is interesting. A lot of people don't know this. Bill, can I have the picture of the apostille?
Sure. How's this?
Yeah, well, no, we need Inspector Gadget.
Oh, gotcha. Let's magnify that a bit. Go gadget magnifying glass.
Okay, thank you, Inspector. Um, uh, after the word, before the word apostille, that's the actual apostille, from before the word apostille to the end. But the piece of paper is actually called an allonge, Allonge. That's just a piece of trivia, but that's what it is. Now, the apostille itself contains 10 numbers, and I will tell you that every state looks different. Some states have a seal, some states don't, some states are red, some states are blue, but every state has the same 10 numbers. And the most important number for you is number 8, because that is the serial number. That is the number, and every state issues these things by a serial number, and that is the number that when one gets lost or there's a problem, that authenticates that it was really issued. It doesn't say they can get another one. It doesn't say they can come in and say, I lost number 42755. Secretary of State won't issue them another one, but at least it shows that it was actually done. So when you deliver a job, that's what you keep a record of. Apostille issued to Judy Lawrence, such and such date, and the number. Now, that there are some states that have little ways of tracking those numbers. We won't have time to get into all that today, but number 8 is your number.
Awesome. Thank you, Judy. And I mean, you guys can see just even by looking at this, it kind of takes some of the mystery out of exactly what an apostille and the allonge might be. So how do people actually get an apostille? Remember just a few moments ago, I was telling you about the Hague Convention. Well, as part of that treaty, they set up these rules, and then each member nation or Hague country designates their competent authorities that Judy just mentioned, which in the United States, for the most part, is going to be the Secretary of State's office in your state or in any state, but not always. So there are a few states that have designated a different office to handle their apostilles. But just know, for 92% of the states, the competent authority is going to be the Secretary of State's office. So very high likelihood
If you happen to be lucky enough to live in Hawaii, it's the Lieutenant Governor's office.
Yes, and I believe that's the same for Alaska.
I believe so.
So when a member of the public needs an apostille for a document that's going to a foreign country, then this is very important to note. The only entity that can apostilize anything is the appropriate competent authority. Take a picture of this page because it's not you. You're not the one issuing this. Only the competent authority can do that. And the challenge for members of the public is that they've often never even heard of an apostille before they needed one. And then there's usually this sense of urgency around it, right? So maybe they're getting married down in Punta Cana next week. And then all of a sudden, they find out that the Dominican Republic requires a birth certificate with an apostille before they can get married. Or maybe they're starting a new job in Paris next week or next month, and their employer just says, oh, hey, don't forget, we need that apostille with your college transcripts. They have to act fast, and they're not used to these government processes and the bureaucracy of the whole thing and how to handle this level of paperwork. The apostillization process can be completely overwhelming. And that's where you actually come in as an apostille agent.
So, Bill, I think that an apostille agent should have really been called, or should be called, the apostille expert, because that's what the people that are coming to you are craving. They're craving your expertise to do something that they don't know how to do. But a properly trained and certified apostille agent can be like this beacon of light in a complicated process and help people get these apostilles faster and without errors and rejections. So, an apostille agent is knowledgeable about what the apostille is. They're knowledgeable about where to get one. Through advanced training, a qualified apostille agent knows how to identify the origin of a document so it can be apostilled or go to the correct competent authority. An apostille agent will also know how to submit the documents and to whom and how much money and do they need copies and where can you put a label in to send them back. So for instance, in my Secretary of State, they'll take a FedEx, but they'll only send it back UPS. So you learn that as you go along. And then when an apostille agent is part of this powerful network, they can also leverage their resources. And it's amazing because it takes a village, and they can leverage their resources and, and expedite these processes with certain things that I'm going to read to you because there's so many. And these are like your secret weapons. These are like the things you need. Copy certifications if your state allows. Run if your state allows. Copy certification by document custodian, my personal favorite, if your state allows. Then there's e-apostilles, and e-apostilles have definitely changed the world, and it's just the beginning. Not very many people know about e-apostilles, but with this service, a document can be e-apostilled, emailed to the competent authority, and then emailed to the receiving country in a matter of hours. It's amazing. Right now, we have 8 states that are interested, but I hesitate. Okay, there's Connecticut, Maryland, Minnesota, Rhode Island, Utah, Washington, Kentucky. But I don't want you to call those states and say, I need an e-apostille, because most of them are just moving in. Montana is in it. Montana is in it. Montana's been doing it for a while. And Montana is in it. If you need an e-apostille, that's the state right now that can get it for you. But see these 8 states, I guarantee you 6 months from now, it'll double because people are hearing about it and they want to do it. But here's what you need to know right now. I say stick with what you're doing. Make sure that you know if your state will allow you to send it up as a RON, send it up as a RON. If your state won't allow you to send it up as a RON, don't do it, because what Bill was talking about before, rejections cost time and money. Bill, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Yeah, awesome. That's why it makes you so valuable as an apostille agent.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's the thing. Most of you are notaries already, right? That's why you're on a Notary Day Extravaganza call, right? We're teaching you the apostille agent opportunity for a reason, because notaries have unique skills that can make them super effective apostille agents. First, you know how to handle paperwork with a certain amount of detail, right? Some of you might be as nerdy as me and you just live for this kind of paperwork. You love the staples and the special certificates and the bindings and the embosser. I love that seal, or whatever seal. Yeah, any kind of stamp. I just live for that. The second thing is, because most of you are regulated already by the Secretary of State, you're more familiar than most people about how that office and their systems work. And third, most apostille document packages are going to require some kind of notarial act and a certificate to go with it.
Mhm.
So obviously you being a notary makes that process far more efficient. It's not required to be a notary to be an apostille agent, but it certainly is more efficient. But here's another huge factor on this, and this is another mind blower, one of those facts that'll just blow your mind. In fact, I think it's a little higher than this after we had our conversation this week, but somewhere between 50 and 62% of all rejections of apostille packages that get submitted to the competent authority, meaning they're sent up, they get rejected due to notarial error.
Mhm.
That means the notary made a mistake,
Mhm.
which means that by simply performing your duties correctly, you could solve half the apostille problems that the public's going to face. So you can see why being an apostille agent fits so perfectly under the notary umbrella. Plus, it's insulated from the housing market fluctuations, and it's completely independent of mortgage interest rates. And again, I'm circling back now, contrary to what we're used to with your legislated notarization fees, your duties when you're bundled as an apostille agent are 100% independent of your notary commission. What that means is you get a lot more flexibility to your fee structure. And remember what I mentioned when we started out today. I like using the pronunciation apostille because it rhymes with unrestricted fees. That means there's not going to be some government entity that says you can't charge more than this or this. You get to offer
But
this whole bundle of services here that's going to include your time for research and processing, your knowledge, your wisdom, and your expertise. And this is huge, guys. I was listening to a book on the way to Montana, and I heard the absolute best way to describe the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad. How gross would that be?
Mm.
That's why advanced training and having this powerful support network and the couriers that we'll tell you a little bit about here, and just good old-fashioned experience and access to experience is so important to this industry. Because technically, anyone can learn what an apostille is online and how to submit a request. It looks super simple. Sometimes in these Facebook communities, it's made to be super simple. But here's the thing. Understanding the difference in the processes for a Hague country and a non-Hague country, or how to determine the origin of a document,
And let me say something, Bill.
or how to, yeah,
Even just understanding the processes of just a Hague country, it's really important.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
gotta know where to send it and what to do with it. Or as someone just put in the chat, you'll be wasting time, and time is money.
Absolutely. But here's the big one, right? How do how to identify an error in a notarial certificate before it's too late, before it gets sent up? That is wisdom, guys. And that is what makes your services as an apostille agent valuable and necessary. So you can offer this bundle of services at a certain fee. And then inside these bundle of services are going to be this access to a network of professionals across the country. And these include peers, colleagues, other apostille agents that act as couriers in every single state that helps you get jobs done faster. And then you might actually have to coordinate the translation of a document if the client requests it. Yes, there might be notarization required. But get this is huge for me, right? You can bundle all your associated expenses into your fee structure too. And that's a big deal. Like, look at your loan signing business. You pay for the printing twice, hundreds of pages, ink on that. those type of expenses, this is a different business model. You charge a fee that can cover all that. So it's a very lucrative opportunity for those who want to work it. And another mind blower that I promised you in the very beginning is just how many of these apostilles get generated every single year. And before we get into the number, well, I'll let Judy. Judy, tell them about more about why so many people need apostilles.
Well, this is where I think it gets really exciting because you've got people, you've got schools, you've got corporations, you've got people that inherit money from another country. There are so many reasons. Now, let me tell you, if you know Bill and you look him up in Webster's dictionary, it's going to say Bill Soroka, and the definition of Bill is details. So when we went out to Montana, Bill wanted to know before we went the exact number of apostilles that have been issued in the whole world forever and ever. And we could not do that. But at the conference, at the Montana conference, and I'm going to read this guy's title because it's very long and I never remember it. Bill and I cornered the Secretary General of the Hague Conference on Private International Law while we were there, and we got an estimate, and that was last summer. And the estimate then was between 33 million and 55 million apostilles issued every year. Now, this is where I like to ask you, if you've done between 33 and 55 million apostilles, just put a 1 in the chat. Okay, well, we don't have any ones. I don't, me either. Let me give you some real common examples of why people need these apostilles. Bill mentioned destination weddings. Okay, lots of countries have apostille requirements when U.S. citizens get married within their borders. Some of them, and most of them that I've done, require at least 2 apostilles per wedding. So by some estimates, this totals over 250,000 apostilles per year, or just for destination weddings and in a foreign country. But let's look at some others. Let's look at other reasons why people need apostilles. So students traveling abroad, relocating to a foreign country, powers of attorney for a variety of reasons, international adoptions, establishing a business abroad, buying real estate in some countries, claiming an inheritance from someone in a foreign country or from a foreign country, filing patents, trademarks, and other legal documents in a foreign country, FBI background checks, and of course, those international destination weddings we mentioned before. And this is just scratching the surface. Countries can require an apostille. This is very interesting, an interesting fact. Countries can require an apostille or embassy legalization for any document they please. There are tens of millions of apostilles generated every year. Now, after China joined The Hague, which was back in November of 2023, believe it or not, they had already processed 800,000 apostilles in their first 8 months. So we could do that again. If you did 800,000 apostilles this year, you could put a 1 in the chat because we want to celebrate with you. Yeah, me either. That's why people need you. That's why people need you to be the expert, to be their guiding force. They need you to understand how to get this done fast and without rejection. I've been in this business a long time, and I've trained thousands of notaries over the years. So I know there are at least 3 misconceptions that notaries have about becoming an apostille agent. And Bill and I have picked 3 of the biggest misconceptions that we know about, and we're going to hit you and tell you why they're not
Yeah.
important, and then we're just going to do it. So Bill,
We'll talk about it.
I think, are you going to do the first one or should I?
Yeah. Well, one thing I was just going to piggyback on what you're talking about too, right? Like we talked to the Secretary General of The Hague, the boss of bosses, And they lost count at 55 million per year. So, but what I want to tell you is that at the Association of Secretaries of State meeting this year, they call it NAS, right, Judy?
Mhm.
Across the board, states are seeing a 25% boost in increase in that. So to put that in numbers, what that equals out to in one state alone, California, we'll just look at because it's one of the biggest that has lots of activity, right? That's going to be somewhere between 480,000 and 500,000 apostilles processed in 2025 alone. That's one state. So pretty amazing growth here. So let's jump in and talk
I
about,
want to add that I
yeah,
heard today that Texas is so overwhelmed because they're issuing so many apostees that they've canceled all appointments, and you walk in and you take it. What you may get them in one day and you may not.
yeah,
So, all the states are really seeing this influx. And that's why when notaries say to me, well, you're teaching so many people. Is there any work for me? Not a problem.
yes, not going to be a problem at
No,
all.
no.
So let's talk about, I mean, that's a misconception too. Bonus misconception right there. There's plenty of business out there. So let's look at the other three here. The misconceptions that just stop notaries in their tracks as soon as they hear about apostilles, because these are misconceptions and we want you to succeed. So we're going to clear these all out right now. And Judy, I'll pass it back to you so you can talk about number one here.
Right. Well, one of the most frequently asked questions I get from potential students is, can I facilitate apostees when I don't live near an SOS? I'm 8 hours away. Well, we fix that. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. And there are many ways to facilitate apostees. Of course, if you're lucky enough to live 15 minutes from the SOS office, it's great. And not only can you get there fast, but there's a bigger opportunity for you to offer expedited service. Because if somebody calls you at 9 o'clock in the morning and they say, I'm flying out at 3 o'clock, you might be able to do it, which will make them very happy. But if you don't live near your capital or near a branch of your Secretary of State or competent authority, you can still build a business as an apostille agent, as long as let's give solutions here. As long as it meets with your client's timeline, you can use an overnight delivery service. But be careful, because as I said, some states are very specific. They'll only take UPS or they'll only take FedEx. So do your homework and take a look and make sure that you're sending the documents the right way and sending the return label the right way. And also make sure that the time frame is right, because there are certain states that if you come in, you can get it the same day, and if you mail it in, you have to wait 5 weeks. So check that out. Second, and this is in large part to the certified apostille agents from my World of Apostille course, we have this network of vetted agents, and they are just standing there waiting for you to call to say, can you help me? Which is why if you heard me in the beginning today asking for help in Iowa, I just found out 5 minutes ago, I need help in Iowa. So I can get somebody to help me. And we can get somebody to help you in almost any states. They'll run your documents. There are two types of couriers. There is the type of courier that you send them a package and they go to the Secretary of State and they file your documents. Then there's a type of courier that you can say, I'm not sure about these documents, and they'll allow you to scan them to them and they'll look at them and they'll help you and they'll say, you forgot your certification or you forgot your stamp, whatever. That may cost you a couple dollars more, but if you're newer, it's worth a couple dollars. So that solves that problem. You can be anywhere. My particular career experience is I'm 2.5 hours away from Harrisburg. And as you all know, I do a lot of apostilles. So
About
Bill,
55 million, right?
I'm not up to 55 million yet, but I will post when I am. From the
All right.
beach.
That's really helpful. Let's take a look at misconception number 2. And this is another big one, kind of piggybacking on that, is that you can only do apostille work in the state you are commissioned in as a notary. So this is my favorite misconception to tear down because I love freedom to travel and transact business. And I've got this terrible case of wanderlust, right? Or a really good one, just depending on your perception. And one of my biggest disappointments with my notary commission is that I have to have my feet planted in the same state as my commission. And the road is calling me, and I love to answer that call. And the cool thing about this is that working as an apostille agent allows that to happen. You can organize and facilitate these things from anywhere in the world, thanks to that nationwide network of couriers that Judy just mentioned. Or, of course, if the timeline allows, you can just ship the documents. So you can set up these systems that will make your phone ring and ding, right? Like a draw the customers in, talk to them, quote the scope and the price of the job, and then you can outsource that work to this network of the trusted and vetted couriers wherever the document may have originated or wherever it needs to be apostillized. And you can do that from the beach, as Judy just said. You can do this in your RV if you've always wanted to travel in an RV across the country. You can do it in an airplane, a boat, a different country, or, of course, even Fantasy Island. Right? So that brings us to the third one. Kind of ties right into this, right? We hear this all the time. It's so hard to make money as an apostille agent because my notary fees are too low. So it's important we talk about this. As an apostille agent, you are not acting in capacity as a notary public. You're an independent expert and a consultant on this one. And I touched on it earlier, but what this is you're helping your clients navigate international document authentication. And because of that, you can charge for your expertise, your time, and of course, any expenses associated with a particular job. Your going rate for apostilles is going to depend on what the market may bear in your area, but rest assured, you're not going to have some legislated cap on it. The market's going to tell you. And you can find out what the markets may bear through due diligence and research, most of which can be done online. You can just research your competition, get a full understanding of what your product actually is as an apostille agent, and then you just set up some key systems that's going to help you be more efficient and stand out in a sea of sameness. Because just like any other service or product that you offer, you're going to be paid in direct proportion to the value you bring the marketplace or the customer, right? And that's why it's so important to go the extra mile, get the training, education, and build this network that helps you bring more value to your client relationships. And that's how you build a lucrative business, one that not only lasts, but actually thrives no matter what. And since we only have about 7 minutes left here at our presentation, that brings us to the offer portion of the training that I promised you in the very beginning. I talked about it at the very beginning. One of the greatest lessons that I've learned in this business is to take advice from those who have the results you want. And Judy Lawrence has earned her title of Queen of Apostilles for a reason, because her firm, Center City Notary and Apostille, dominates downtown Philadelphia and obviously well beyond. And she has this course that we've collaborated on called The World of Apostilles. And we're going to take just a few minutes to tell you about it now, because in honor of Notary Public Extravaganza, and because Marcy opened this up for us completely for free, we just want to make a ridiculous, crazy, great deal for you on this one that we have never done before. But I just want to tell you a little bit about it. I'll just post. I know, learning so much, I know. We've got this great course. It features over 60 individual and on-demand videos, so you can watch it anytime, guys, and it will transform you from novice all the way up to expert in international document authentication. There's been so many students who have graduated from this and created huge empires of their own. in their own cities. Every lecture has additional notes and materials. There's downloads. Judy walks you through some of the most common documents you'll ever see presented for apostillization. So you can lean on her years of experience to help you avoid some of those common pitfalls. And of course, we love throwing in some bonuses. And this is important because really anybody can throw up a course and just send you on your way. But Judy loves this. She loves her students and she's committed to your success. So you don't just get the course, you get support directly with Judy. And then, of course, once you graduate, you pass the test, you get a certification that's verifiable. And Judy gives you a one-on-one business implementation call. So you get through it and you're like, okay, now what? Judy will meet with you and help you implement your business. And as you grow your business, this is still amazing. And I just spent a weekend or 4 days with Judy, and she was answering these as we were there. If you get a new client, she offers exclusive access to her via text. So all you have to do when you're feeling nervous about a new client, you have some questions about what you're supposed to do to move forward, you simply text her NCN for new client now, and she'll schedule a call back to you and get you all the help that you need to guide you through that first one or the second one, sometimes the third one. And she offers monthly study halls, advanced study halls, all kinds of cool stuff. So if this is interesting for you, and Marcy and Marcy's team, I'm posting the link in the chat, but I can't talk to the whole group. So hopefully maybe you can copy and paste that into the webinar chat for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me make sure I can do that right now.
Thank you so much. So here's the deal, guys. It's just $149. It's like 63% off, just about. I think it's 62 and some change. Normally $399. It's just $149 for the standalone course. So you get all of that, plus our crazy good bonuses that we throw in there for you. So it's marketing roundtable discussion with Apostille agents that are killing it already. They share what they're doing that's working. We introduce you to government administrators, including training on that whole e-app thing with the former notary administrator from the state of Montana. And we give you a PDF version of that new book I told you about, your passport to Apostilles. So that's all included there for you. You can use the QR code, or you can go to notarycoach.com/apostille. And I've set that all up to honor this price. And I see Carolyn says, is this price just today? This is priced through Monday. So if today doesn't work for you, you have until Monday to take advantage of that $149 price.
And this price is also in honor of Marcy and all that Marcy does for the notary community. Marcy, you're truly amazing.
Oh, thank you guys so much. I love this session, and I know everyone loved it too, because I could see it in the chat. And I know there were some questions. I do have a Q&A that I want to pull up right here. Someone asked, since you mentioned that around 50% of apostilles get rejected due to notary mistakes, what are the most common errors notaries make during the apostille process? What a great question.
Yeah, Judy, go for it.
The most common error is certificates and not understanding a certificate, not understanding which certificate or what certificate, or just not putting a certificate. I had one this morning, just not using a certificate. And that is the most common error. And it's making sure your notary skills are good. Because if your notary skills are good, you're going to know what it needs.
I think that's really important to say too, Marcy, right? Like, it's not like the notarization aspect changes because it's an apostille. It just has to be done correctly for your state. And so a lot of them miss the venue, but all those things that a lot of times loan signings or estate planning, where we don't find out that we make a mistake until 10 years down the road or 2 years down the road, you'll find out really quick. With apostille work, right? It's going to get rejected if you make that mistake.
Because the Secretary of State won't take it.
Yep. That's the whole point of the apostille process, is to confirm this and validate this information.
Now, someone wants to know, is this course appropriate for a newer notary?
Hmm.
Absolutely, as long as that newer notary makes sure to read the handbook and be a well-trained newer notary. I mean, there's a lot of resources out there. There's a lot of resources. There's so many people now willing to help. And if you get a mentor or if you call somebody and I don't know anybody personally that would, unless you call every day, once every hour. I don't know anybody that wouldn't say, I'll help you. Sure. But make sure that you bone up your notary skills. I think Laura always says competence and what were her words?
Confidence.
Competence
Competence and
and confidence.
confidence. Yep.
Great. And make sure that you do that because otherwise your documents are just going to come back to you and then you have to put them back in a new FedEx and send them back out again. And that's money and time.
And if I could piggyback on that too, Marcy, if you don't mind real quick,
No, absolutely.
I just want to reiterate that being a notary public is not required to be an apostille agent. So that might alleviate a little bit of pressure. So even if you had to outsource the notary portion, you could certainly do that. And you just build that into your fee structure. I'm going to have to pay another notary to do that. Maybe I can learn from that notary on how to do it correctly. So yes, anyone can do this. And the reason that I really wanted to highlight that is when you're just entering this industry, it's really easy to get lost in the sea of generalization. So we say I'm just going to start with general notary work. And that feels safe and normal, right? It's like, okay, I'm just going to start there. I'm going to learn how to do this, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do. The challenge with that is you're completely reliant on somebody finding you 100%, like hopefully Google throws you to the top and you get found and you are able to answer your phone and you get that. And your odds of getting those just diminishes every time. But if you specialize, like with apostille work, you will know exactly who your target customer is. So yes, you can optimize your online visibility so customers can find you when they need you, but you will also know who you can be reaching out to every single day to build those relationships that will lead to more business that way too.
I want to add one thing, if I may, to newer notaries, more experienced notaries, couriers. Here's my message to you. Answer your phone.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you take every course in the world. If you take money's no object, you can take every course in the whole wide world. If they start calling and you don't answer the phone, your revenue stream will not increase. Answer the phone. And technology gives you like options. Like you can do this, I'll call you back in 15 minutes, or I'm training now, I'll call you in an hour, or you can forward your phone to somebody to help you. Answer your phone because that's the only way you're ever going to make any money. I just want to say, Bill has a favorite expression, and you haven't heard him say it yet today. So I want to bring this up and hear Bill say, but there's more. Bill, did you have something to add? But there's more.
But wait, there's more. Oh, for the offer, yeah, absolutely.
But
There's
wait,
always
there's
more.
more.
This thing is just loaded with value, and of course, it also includes we have a basic standard level to our high performance notary community that's included in there. So you're surrounded by 1,200 plus other notaries on the school platform that are growing their business too. So all of that's included here for you.
I can't tell you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everyone who came, because I know your time is valuable, and I am always try to be appreciative of you taking time out of your day to do something else to come sit here with us. So please know that I'm grateful for that. And I'm equally as grateful that Bill and Judy spent their time with us today too. Thank you so much. It was so amazing. I hope that you guys reach out to Bill and Judy. This was one of those opportunities I think that we could talk about for a very long amount of time. But if you're looking to diversify your business, if there's something more that you're looking, to bring in, this is a good conversation to have. You don't need to do it, but it's certainly worth going out, reviewing, having the conversation, and see if it fits what you're working on. Like, I think it's always good to be well informed, whatever your ultimate goal is here at the end. So thank you all so much. I so appreciate you. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, a wonderful weekend, and thanks for joining us for Notary Public Extravaganza. I can't do it like Bill did it. I tried, but it was, maybe I'll bring him back to say that at every session for the rest of the
You
day.
nailed it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a great day. Take care.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your great comments.